Strike Back Season 4, Episode 7. This episode had me really excited from the preview from the last one because it seemed like after all the craziness that took place with them having a really insane episode where they escaped Korea, we got a preview for an episode that seemed like it was just going to be like a really out of control bank heist. And ultimately, we got that at the end. It wasn't like a big chunk of the episode like I was kind of expecting it to be, but it was still an amazing episode. We got introduced to a new villain who actually has ties to Nina, as far as when she was undercover at one point, and she loses her friend and stuff. And we get to see Kwan do a couple of cool martial arts moves, which is pretty sweet. We get Lee Na at the end. I think was definitely awesome for her character because I honestly was kind of surprised when she showed up. I really thought the whole thing was going to be about Kwan and him basically, talking with these different people and putting some plan into motion to work with them. And then she came in and it was probably the last 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. And so it was kind of surprising, like, oh, there she is, like this whole episode. She's been sort of absent. It's been all about Kwan and this new villain, as well, two new villains really. We got to meet Oppenheimer, and then the other guy, I can't remember what his name is. So we get to meet these two new villains, and then it seems to focus on Kwan. He gets captured, so there's an interrogation scene with him where they let him go and they follow him, and then we have Oppenheimer, who has a pretty cool scene as well. Not as cool as Lee Nas, but he has a pretty cool scene as well where he comes into play. And it's the funniest thing. I was like, as soon as he had that pin and he clicked it twice, I was like, that's something. I thought maybe I missed it and the pin just didn't click the first time. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's like a setup. Like if he pushes it a third time, it'll happen. But apparently it was set to like 4 clicks and then it would go off. And maybe the 5th click would cancel it. But I liked his character. Getting to meet him was pretty cool. He's like, he meets Kwan. It's like, all right, I want to, I like to meet people in person. You have like a sense of desperation, I believe you said. And it's like, and in that case, the fee just doubled because I saw how you look. You kind of need me to do this, but at the same time, it's important. So double the price just off the bat like that. And that's pretty much all there was to it. It was like double the price because I see that you really, really need this. It's not like you can go to someone else. You need this, and it's me or nothing, pretty much. Or, someone who's not as good as me. So, I liked him, for that moment. Of course, he's a villain. And he totally just had a bomb ready to go off and kill a bunch of people, so I don't, like the guy. But character-wise, he's definitely interesting. I really enjoyed that. It was like he doesn't mess around when it comes to people hiring him for business, and he does not mess around when it comes to being captured. Like, okay, you guys are watching me. I just clicked this little pin, giant, really random big bag. It was like a big duffel bag for like, if you go to exercise or whatever. And it's like, yep, all these people just kaboom, they'll blow up. And then that triggers something in Locke where he remembers his son dying. So now he believes that Oppenheimer is the one that is the guy that actually set that car bomb up to initially kill him. So that should be something fairly interesting in the next episode. I think with this like little sort of clips that they showed us where he's like, did you kill my son? The first line they have Oppenheimer say, at least in the trailer, is like, you're asking all the wrong questions. So, that alone has me really curious. Like, what does that mean? Like, I mean, of course he's the one who set it up, but it's there's more to it. Like, who really hired him? Because there were all these questions. He never really knew anything about it. It was just like his son was killed, and that obviously it changed his whole life, and he never really figured out exactly what happened in that case. So this is actually kind of cool. I think it was pretty sweet that they put this in here, and I guess it was just his dialogue, but at the same time, excuse me, I guess it is kind of the fact that he is like the bomb maker that everyone kind of knows and goes to. So I guess it kind of just dawned on him, like, this is probably the guy that did that. Like, it makes perfect sense because he has those talents. So, I'm very curious. I'm excited as well, but I'm not sure what's going to come of it. I'm sure it won't be, like, insane, like, kind of like last season with Stonebridge when he kind of went nuts on that guy who also went nuts and like killed his wife and all that craziness. I don't think it'll be like that bad where he'll completely just break off the mission and just like chase him down, because I still remember that scene. That was one of the craziest moments. And I don't think that's gonna happen where he just stops everything. He did leave his post, but that's a little different than, we have the villain, but then there's the other dude that you have a vendetta against, and then you just take off in another direction. I don't think we're gonna get that on the lock, but I think we're gonna get some interesting answers, and I'm excited to see that because that should be pretty cool. The some of the details that we got about Nina, I enjoyed that. If she's gonna be on the team for these last episodes, I do want to know about her. I want to learn about her character, and we learn about one of her former partners and why they had to meet at the Opera House. And we get to see Scott and Stonebridge all fancy and stuff. And that was a crazy scene when her friend died. And the dude just like, I still honestly, I kind of wonder how they even found him. Maybe he knew about that because of the whole dead drop thing from all those different missions. Maybe he eventually just learned that stuff, and it was just like, let's check this out. I mean, he was across the same level and everything, so there's, I'm sure, other dynamics, but that was kind of messed up. He just shot it from across the thing, and then, of course, they fire back, and they don't have suppressors. Chaos. Just mass chaos, so that was pretty interesting to watch, just everything kind of going nuts. Nina also being captured by the end of this episode was interesting, so we'll probably get some more character development scenes with her in the next episode, which I enjoy. Like I said, she's on the team. I don't mind getting to know a lot about her, really. I mean, there's not that much we can learn, in these couple episodes, and still focus on the main story. So, I'm fine just getting a couple missions, her backstory. This seems like, this introduction of this new villain, I feel like he might last for a little while because he has a connection to this new team member that we've been given. So I think we'll have him as her main development, character development point, where she has her own little nemesis now, and we'll get to see her kind of have to deal with him back and forth until maybe 2 or 3 episodes before the finale, and she's able to take him down, or whatever. Another interesting thing that happened after the Opera House when she couldn't take the guy down is that she and Scott actually had sex. So that, I'm pretty sure, marks the first sex scene with Scott in this entire season. Like, unless there's something I don't remember, I'm almost 100% sure that this was the first sex scene that Scott had in this entire season, which is almost unheard of. I mean, of course, other seasons it was basically every episode he was sleeping with somebody. There was like a sex scene, and this was like the one time, and we didn't even see it with Richmond, which we did get in the season finale for the last season. So they didn't really need to kind of do that, and that was like the first time they'd finally been together after all their little flirting back and forth. And this was kind of taking it back a little bit, and I was kind of expecting him to not be ready to do that, and I was a little bit hoping for it just because that would have been even more different, and then maybe it could have just happened later, but at least the first time he would have had a little pause. I was kind of hoping for it. I was still okay that it didn't happen, but I kind of would have loved it if it did, if that affected him so much that the first woman that that he has the chance to sleep with, at least the first time, he kind of pauses, like maybe kisses her a little bit, and then he's taken out of it a little or something like that. I personally would have enjoyed it more, but I still enjoyed the scene for what it was because it is kind of taking things back a little bit for this character, and it does allow him, I won't say to move on, but it does help him a little bit to go back to where we've seen him at in previous seasons before he was actually with Richmond. So I enjoyed that scene. It was kind of surprising. I wasn't expecting that at all with them just even getting together. So it was kind of surprising and funny. Like, oh crap, that kind of came out of nowhere on me. So that was kind of funny. Nina does not mess around. That was like, oh crap, she like just hopped right on his face. But it was just interesting. Like, this is the first scene in this season, first sex scene in the season. At least for Scott, we may have had some other stuff, but I think it might be the first one in general. But it was just interesting. Like, holy crap, it's the first one. We're quite a few episodes in. First time this has happened this season. So that's something worth noting because every other season it was like, you know, once every 2 or 3. It was, I think in the second season it was literally every single episode. I think the first season was like every couple episodes, and the third season they did the same thing. But I think the second season was pretty much every single episode. He found there's some woman and he slept with her. But there was a lot of other cool stuff, like the stuff with Quan, him getting a focus was pretty awesome. His, swift kicks were pretty sweet. I hope we get to see him do a lot more martial arts because I love martial arts, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then, we get to the ending of this episode, and like I mentioned, Lena had a great scene in this episode. Like, she comes in, her introduction, she's just all in black. She's got the glasses and everything, the black gloves, all that stuff. And she was just like at the top of the pile in this one. And it was just really cool. It was like she was absent for most of the episode. Quan is like, yep, I have the wife. We're heading to the bank. Everything's in order. They had the little scene. She gets out of the car in slow motion. And it's like, here she is. Like I said, for me, I was surprised. I was like, I honestly thought they weren't going to have her in the episode. And then here she comes, and they have their, the bank shootout and everything. She goes to the teller, like the main teller and everything, and it's like, you're going to do this. And then Quan shows up perfectly, of course, TV time. It's like, oh, you are going to give us this. Check this out as your wife and baby. And it was just really cool. Like, she was just super badass and evil. And she didn't really have to do anything. She's gotten rid of her old regime. She's, a bit of an outcast with Quan. But they're doing exactly what they want to do. And she's just at the top. Like, everything falls in line. And that's when I come in and I'm just like, I say a couple of lies. And that's pretty much it. She just came in looking cool. Here's this little note out of my glove, and there's your wife with a gun to her belly. So she just had a cool scene. They got what they were after, which is this notebook. We only got to see like maybe 2 or 3 pages when they were like just talking and it was open, and it would just look like symbols, almost like tattoos, but obviously they mean something. I don't know what, but it's just like this nice, neat little journal. Not even a big book. It's like just a tiny little journal. And I don't know what to expect from that. It can't be good. Like, that's always the worst when it's something. The simpler it is, and that, they do a full bank heist and stuff, and it's like, we just want this notebook. That's like the worst thing ever. It's like if you do all that for a sheet of paper, I'm going to assume you got nukes coming in or something, which I guess would be no different for this show, but I don't know what's in this or what these symbols really mean, and that was the most confusing thing once I actually got to see what was in there. I was like, I don't even know. It just looks like some cool designs, and that was it. I thought they'd be like blueprints for some other weapons or something like that, and it was just like designs. I'm sure there's some other stuff that we didn't see, but for now it's just designs, and we'll see what the heck all that stuff means. Excuse me. In the next episode, but this was definitely an awesome one. I did really enjoy the bank shootout scene. Very cool. They played like a really old theme, which I feel like they haven't played in quite a while, and that was when they first get into the bank. I don't think they played that theme since, I don't know, they may have played it earlier on in this season, but I think we haven't heard that for quite some time. And it was like the initial Strike Back theme with like the sort of the guitar, and it was pretty much just the guitar by itself and like some low tone instruments behind it. So that was kind of cool. I had, like I said, it may have played and I just didn't really recognize it, but for some reason it really stood out after Scott like punched the guard and the theme started to play. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that. I felt like I hadn't heard it since like the first season, but I could have just been missing it every other time. But the bank shootout was pretty cool. As usual, them, slamming across the ground, shooting people, running, hopping over stuff, shooting people, surviving, and just taking out everybody else. Very cool. Love the ending. Once again, Lena, she has the journal, and it's like, alright, we gotta get the heck out of here. They take Nina. They leave the bank manager and his wife, and then Lena, like, goes to the, the casing, the window, and she just puts her hand right up and just smiles at them and and that's just the end. Like, she's walking away and it's just them looking at her where they can't do anything, and they were just right there. They have the whole bank shootout and they're right there. Nina's taken, Quan, Lena, and the other dude. They all get away with exactly what they want, and that's it. And that's just how it ends. And I thought that was really cool. It was a great ending, a villain, successful ending despite all the craziness with Scott and Stonebridge getting through the bank and getting to the vault. They still, didn't make it in time, and now the villains have what they need. Plus, Nina's still captured, so they got to figure that out. And we have Locke, kind of, who's probably gonna maybe not go off the deep end, but he's gonna be pushed close to it for sure. So, love this episode. Excited for the next one. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I want to know what your guesses are for what this journal is, because, like I said, all I saw were some designs. I doubt we're gonna randomly get super mystical at the end of the series, just poof magic. So I want to know what your speculations are for what this journal is for, because I really can't guess. I'm sure there's some other stuff in there. There's probably actual journal passages like detail certain information maybe, or has some very specific and important information, I would assume. So it's something big. I just can't figure. I mean, like I said, all I saw were like two patterns that look like they could just be some cool tattoos, and that's really it. So whatever it is, I'm excited for it. But like I said, want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.